So especially over the last year, I made the transition from like, okay, I need to like be working all the time, because you hear that all the time, Steve. Like, this is the worst part about our industry, I feel like, is like grind, 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 grind. Wake up at 5, like David Goggins shit. Like, get in at 8, make your calls till 12, handle your conditions. Like man, there's got to be a better way, because I did that and I hated my life. The best business partners, in my opinion, are realtors on the residential side, at least, and then just your past clients.
Hey guys, I'm Steve Calabrese. I'm a loan officer and the owner of CRMU. And today we have Corbin Claypool with Vero Mortgage. Corbin and I originally met in a LO coaching program called Bridge Profits. It's like 7 or 8 years ago. And he was a really young, impressive LO in there. I was a 19-year-old idiot, brand new to lending, and Corbin is a couple years in. He was a couple years further than me, but he was still like 25, 26, and he was closing a ton of loans. And I would always pester him and follow him on social media and try to figure out what he was doing. And 7 years later, we just stayed in touch, and here we are. So, Corbin, I wanted to bring you on here today because it doesn't seem like you're just a loan officer. It seems like you're always doing something, like you're building cars, you're in your garage, you got a gym in your garage, and you close a ton of loans. And usually it's a trade-off. It's usually you close a ton of loans and you do nothing in life, or you have a life and you don't close any loans. But you're always building cars, you're always doing cool stuff, but you close a ton of loans. So why don't you just give us a basic groundwork about yourself, where you're from, where you're located, what market you're in, and what you do to get loans.
Perfect. Yeah. So thank you for having me on, Steve. Excited to do this. My name is Corbin. I'm in the Central Valley in California. If you don't know where that is, it's basically the armpit of California. So everything you've thought about California, the oceans and all that, we have none of that. But what we do have is we have, the forest an hour away and the beach an hour away. So that's pretty nice. I started in the industry, like Steve said, about 7 years ago or so, something like that. I had my license prior to that, and I kind of had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And, it's funny, this industry kind of takes you through like multiple transitions of like understanding how to build your business, or like what you thought you were doing, or what I thought I was doing at the time wasn't necessarily the right thing to be doing, even though I was just going out there and getting it. And so I've been on the broker side. Now I'm on, the correspondent side. And, that's basically it. A lot of things changed for me over the last like 3 years. I kind of came into a company that had somebody who's doing way more than me. He's freaking crazy. And I was like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And not only was he doing it, like he was never at his desk. He's at his desk like twice a month, I feel like. Or like he would come into town for specific meetings, right? Like it was very dialed in. It's like, okay, when I come into town, like I'm going to be doing presentations for realtors, or I'm going to like be doing meetings. I'm not just going to be like sitting at my desk staring at my email, And so I was like, how is he doing this? And so especially over the last year, I made the transition from like, okay, I need to like be working all the time, because you hear that all the time, Steve. Like, this is the worst part about our industry, I feel like, is like grind, 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 grind. Wake up at 5, like David Goggins shit. Like, get in at 8, make your calls till 12, handle your conditions. Like man, there's got to be a better way, because I did that and I hated my life. I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this forever. Like, if this is what the loan industry is going to be, then I don't want to be a part of it. Like, I actually thought about, okay, do I need to do something else? Like, do I need to get into a different industry that doesn't do this? Because I don't want to do this personally. I mean, I know some people want to do that, but I was kind of tired of it. So that's a little bit about me.
I looked up your production, Corbin. Like, you're not going to want to, you don't tout your production, but you're a $60 million producer. So where do you get your loans? Like, realtors, financial advisors, where do your loans come from?
We get our loans mainly from realtors and past clients is the majority. And I've tried other stuff too. Like, I've tried direct to consumer, and that's cool. But for me, we go back to like the quality of life thing. And it was more of a thing where it's like, I don't want to be calling direct to consumer leads all freaking day trying to convert them. So, the best business partners, in my opinion, are realtors on the residential side, at least. And then just your past clients. Like, people underestimate how much your past clients can refer to you if you just kind of like follow up, check in, see how they're doing, like genuinely, like not like be super used car salesman trying to call them for deals. Like, just call them, like check in and see what's up. Like, how you guys doing? How's your family? How are your kids? How you start like creating these connections, and you always throw it in there. Hey man, like, if you have anybody, please send it my way. But yeah, that's the majority. Realtors and past clients.
How do you get realtors? Like, how do you farm your realtors? What is your value proposition? Are you doing like a, a like a salesman close, or are you just being friends with them?
Yeah, so great question because I've had like there's so many different ways to look at this business. I would say I'm more on like the sales side, to be honest with you, and then like the relationships come naturally. The other piece of this is like I can, make relationships, but I don't have the bandwidth to have a relationship with 200 people, 150 people. Like where I want to go to, and I want to do it with the same amount of work, basically. I want to do it with the same amount of work. I have to be able to like have an offer, right? So we've created an offer. Basically, I can go through with you. I could share like kind of a little bit about what it is if you want me
Sure.
to. You want me to? Okay. So basically, a couple things is a system that we've created. So the way I'm able to kind of like go to jiu-jitsu at 9 o'clock and start work at 11 most days and work for a few hours and focus on primarily the things that are moving the needle forward are because I hired an underwriter in my branch. I have a loan partner and I've got a loan officer assistant basically. Right. And so the loan officer assistant and the loan partner are doing all the pre-quals, all the follow-up with the leads, things of that nature. And then I've got an underwriter like handling all the tough issues because as well as I know, Steve, that's like if you get a deal that has hair on it, you can get stuck in that thing for a day trying to fix it. And there's nothing more stressful. So like having somebody with that level of experience, she's got like 20 years of experience. She was a credit risk officer at the previous company. So like she knows her shit. So my point of saying all that is like, that's a big piece of our value proposition. Like, hey, Mr. Realtor, like when you work with an individual loan officer, that's a good thing, right? And you're going to get more of that one-on-one service. But what are they going to do when they have multiple leads that you're trying to send them? And they're working on your pre-quals, and now let's say you get a few escrows in, right? As well as I know that it does take a lot to get people to the finish line here. So if you have 5, 10 escrows in and you have yourself and no team, you're going to be focused on trying to close those deals. So that's kind of our pitch is like, look, like we have the capacity to handle stuff. And when you send us a pre-qual, you're getting your pre-qual done the same day or next day. And by the way, we're not going to bullshit you. So if there's an issue on your pre-qual, we're going to order VOEs. We're going to send it to our in-house underwriter. She's going to underwrite it for me right up front. She's going to tell us what we need. John just texted me about 30 minutes ago. He said, hey, dude, I just approved a 537 FICO. Are you good with it? Can we move forward? I said, yeah, let's go. Right. So it's like he took the extra steps, though. He's been following up with that person for a week, and we're not just throwing crap together. And then, Steve, like over time, if you're a smaller market like us, you start to develop a reputation. And that's like the most important piece, I think. Like people totally underestimate the power of the reputation, right? It's like, I'm just going to go sell. I know people that are way better salesmen than me, way better sales people than me. But the problem is their follow through isn't as good. So like they have deals fall out, their pre-quals aren't strong, and like they begin to get that reputation in their market. And now all of a sudden it's 10 times harder for them to book meetings. So I have kind of like it's a little easier for me, I'd say right now. I feel like every year that goes on, it's like when you're first like lifting 300 pounds, it's like, holy crap, that's a lot of weight. But then if you keep doing it, it gets easier and easier. And so that's kind of my take on like how it is right now. Like if I call a realtor in my market,
localized, right? I mean, you're in like one market.
yeah, basically I'm just in Fresno for the most part in like the small surrounding areas.
See, it's so important because everyone's trying to be a nationwide lender and be in 50 states. And like, I live in Naples and I need to go recruit the realtors in Jacksonville. And it's like, it takes away the harm that does because you're not able to build upon listing agents. Like my listing agent sees an offer from me now, sees a pre-approval from me, and they're like, let's do it. Like it's state.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Exactly, dude. And it's 10 times easier to get appointments. So now we're kind of really leaning in. You mentioned 60 million. I would like to scale it back to 100 million in 21 when everybody's numbers were way better. That's where I was at. And I've been wanting to get back there. But I want to be smart about it. Like I don't want to be at my desk from 8 to 5 making calls all freaking day and being a damn robot. Like I just can't do that anymore, man, to be honest with you. So it's like, okay, how are we going to do this productively? So we created the offer. And now when I reach out to realtors in my area, like you mentioned, it's a lot easier to get those meetings so they have market impact. So like they already kind of know who I am. And so it's like, hey, what's up? Let's meet, especially right now, man, there's a lot of LOs going away. So I feel like it's easier to get meetings. So, I mean, I booked like 10 or 12 meetings over just the last like week and a half. And I was like, I'm doing them all on Zoom. I'm not driving around everywhere around town trying to go to these coffee meetings that end up being an hour and a half long.
Realtors bookshelf fell over on them.
Exactly, dude.
They
I'm not
don't show up
driving
the first
everywhere.
day.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna meet with them, and I'm going to present my offer. And then, as you mentioned, the relationship and business thing, the relationships happen naturally. So, like, there's some people that I'm super close with that we're just friends, and we also do business. There's other people. It's like, hey, like maybe we're not interested in the same things, so we're not really close, but we still do business together. And you can have both of those relationships. It doesn't have to be like I got to be this person's best friend. There's a lot of people that I see in my market that like try to be everybody's best friend. They do no freaking business. It's like they haven't created the offer, right? So that's one piece. And then man, I have to go through it right now. I freaking feel like I'm popping a blank. But we have like an in-house ISA that's helping kind of follow up with leads, things like that. So the loan officer assistant on the team, she's following up on people that are 15, 30 days out. But that's the majority of it, man, is like the system. And then we also have a videographer. So we kind of like, those are gizmos and gadgets though. I feel like, you can kind of like pitch that and be like, hey, like we have these extra things to offer. But the majority of what we do is like, look, like this is our system. This is how we get things done. Give us a shot and let's make it happen. And, a lot of it too is the salesmanship. I feel like it's how you pitch the product. Like it's not necessarily what you're selling. It's like, how much do you actually believe in what you're selling? Right? Because if you super believe in like your product and your business, it's going to be a lot easier to pitch it to a realtor and, convince them to try it out. So got me on a little tangent there.
So your team, what does your team look like? You have an underwriter, an LOA, and an ISA, or your LOA is your ISA?
Yeah, the LOA is kind of the ISA. Yeah, so what happens is a lead comes in, and I usually always take that client in. Hey, how's it going? Or I'll put them in a group text, depending on how busy I am, with Gina, who's the LOA, and she'll book an appointment for John. John's my loan partner, and so John does all my pre-quals.
Gotcha.
So that's basically how it works. So we run lean and mean, and I've had loan officers and all that in my branch, and I'm not saying it's something I don't want, but right now, man, it's just I don't want the extra management. And to be honest, like if it's about money, if we're talking purely about money and not impact, because I do like impacting loan officers that aren't producing and helping them produce. Like that's kind of a fun thing, watching them grow their income and all that. But as far as profitability, man, loan officers in this market are not helping a whole lot, right? Especially because we are a company that W-2s. So I got to pay employer taxes and all this other stuff on them when they close a deal. It's like, man, there's not much left over. I could just go get one more deal and it'd make up for 4 of their loans. So
everyone's like, I want to start a branch here and have a loan officer here. And it's like, how about you just have loans coming out of your ears and then you build a system to close them, and then you're going to make a lot more money and have a lot less of a headache.
Yeah. More time freedom, man. And to your point, like I've actually learned a lot of that from you in some ways, like having, you don't have to sit at your desk 24/7. And I used to believe that. I used to sit at my desk and just like try to crank out loans. And like I produce more or the same now, and I'm never at my desk.
You had a word, capacity. People don't even know what that word means. Capacity means you're able to take on a less than desirable situation. Like capacity in an underwriting perspective is when a borrower has a massive downfall or they have a massive medical liability or something. Like, what is their capacity to be able to weather that storm and still make their mortgage payment? Like, of course, we don't think like underwriters anymore. We're mortgage brokers, and like we don't even think about underwriting. But like that's what capacity is, and what a great sales point to a realtor. It's like, what are you going to do when you get busy and you have 19 people calling you and you don't have a system? Your loan officer doesn't have a system. Like my processor is my underwriter right now, which is she's an underwriter. And
that's awesome.
It's
though.
a
That's
great
huge
sales point. Like I never thought about that. It's like, of course I have an underwriter. We got an underwriter on staff. Like I never even thought to pitch it like that.
Yeah, it's huge. And then them knowing, because there's a lot of loan officers, as you know, that don't issue good pre-quals. And I feel like that's, again, it goes back to the reputation thing. That's 50 to 60% of the battle. Like if your pre-quals are strong and your pre-approvals are strong, that's always something that Jeremy's taught me. He's like, dude, don't try to be the freaking hare, the first in the hair, right? Like don't try to be the hare sprinting through this. Be the tortoise, do a really good job on every deal, and that stuff is going to naturally grow over 5-10 years without you even trying, because you're just so reliable, and I feel like reliability is really hard to find in this industry.
It is. It's just so simple. It's just so simple. Like having a true value proposition. Like there's no AI in this. There's no craziness. It's literally just doing what you say you're going to do and having a system for it and actually having a system to follow up with them. So are you taking the initial call? How do your leads come in? Does a realtor say, here, call this person, call Joe Smith, or do they email intro? Do they text intro? Do you even do the first call?
Yeah, I usually try to do the first call. I just feel like it's a good contact point, and that call sometimes is no longer than 2 to 5 minutes. I'm not even kidding you. It's, hey, what's going on? Establish some quick rapport, explain the team dynamic and scenario, and then send an application link to them. Very simple. I used to, people want simple. This is what I realized. I used to send this big old message on a text message. Congratulations. Thank you so much for da-da-da-da-da-da. You will need this. And then like people wouldn't fill out the app because it's like this huge long text is too much. And I literally started saying, hey, great speaking to you. Here's the application link. Boom. Right away, people fill it out because it's just like, it's simple, So I take a phone call, quick few minutes. And if I'm too busy, I'll put Gina in the group text message with me. You ask the question, how do they come in? Sometimes it's email, sometimes it's text message. That's mainly the two main forms of where it comes. And then I'll loop Gina into the text message sometime and say, hey, Gina, schedule something on a calendar here for John. And the next step is we try to get them to submit their online app and then get them over to my loan partner, John, and he's going to do the rest of the process. And at that point, I basically don't do anything. I will stay in contact with the client and have a good conversation with them and just check in and just be that like cheerleader for them and congratulate them and just make sure everything's going smooth. But there's really no in-depth conversations on loan estimates, on anything. I've even got a dial where I don't lock rates unless we have a super, super sensitive client. Then I will lock the rate with them. But for the most part, John and Stacy are more than capable to have those conversations, and they're both licensed and all that. So
what do you use to manage all these people? Like that's a lot. 60 million is a lot of leads. It's a lot of people. So do you have a CRM? Do you use a spreadsheet? What do you use to keep track of it?
Dude, I just write everything down on a piece of paper. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, bro. No, my stepdad, God bless my stepdad, dude. He's still freaking napkin lead guy. I'm like, come on, my guy, you got to get a CRM. No, I have a CRM. Everything's dialed. It has all the agent's information. When I send a lead over, my LOA is filling everything out. I don't really ever go into the CRM unless I need like an update on something, but she's going in there, updating the notes, updating the last touch. The last touch gets sent out to the agents once a week. If they want it, twice a week or however much they want it, we can send it out. So that's how we manage everything. And then it goes into different things. So it's like first 15 days, it's going to kind of prompt people to kind of check in, follow up. And then after that, it's going to go into like a more longer term follow-up, email drip, video drip, market update drip, occasional phone call, that type of stuff.
So you used to be a broker. You're correspondent now. You were correspondent before, and then you went broker for a couple of years, right?
Yeah. So I was at Homebridge, learned a lot. It was like super green. I was at a couple other companies before, but keep in mind at that time I was going to school as well, thinking I was going to do something else, and I wasn't really committed. And then my wife and I got engaged, and then she got pregnant, and I was like, I'm going into something now. I was like, man, I gotta make something happen. So that's when I was at Homebridge, and I was like, all right, balls to the wall, pedal to the metal. We got to figure this out. So I was at Homebridge a while, and then I saw Renato. I feel like everybody's seen Renato. Is it Renato? It's been a while. And he's like the Croatian guy, super nice guy. And I saw him on freaking Facebook. He's like, you can make 220 bips. And I was over here making like 125. And I was like, this doesn't sound right. And I was having months where I was closing like 5 million at Homebridge. And even my sales manager, like, how the heck are you, what's going on? I'm like, okay, I'm making 125 here. If I'm making 220, why would I not move? But then I forgot about the fact that's like, okay, well, you need all the support to actually close these deals, right? So I started having to hire people, and then your margins get compressed. But I did the broker side, and it was really cool. We enjoyed it. I was at Nexa Mortgage, learned a lot. And then the biggest producer in the Central Valley, his name's Jeremy, real good dude. I talk about him all the time because he's done so much for me. He kind of brought me into his company. Essentially, he was a majority owner of the company. He offered me to buy into the company. I bought into the company, and then we ended up transitioning where we kind of like, I guess, sold that company and then moved to a company that took care of our back end. It just made way more sense for us going into a difficult market. And the deal that we got with the company was just way too good to be true. And it was too freaking good. So we made the jump. So now we're correspondent. Do you have any like specific questions on the broker side versus correspondent or?
It wasn't like the broker thing, like wasn't really even a viable option. I don't know what, 7 or 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and everyone's like everyone's losing LOs to brokers, and like you used to not be able to close more than 4 loans a month as a broker, but like now there's some producers at Nexa and at Edge and at all these broker shops. Like it seems to be a threat, but there's always like, yeah, but it's like it seems like you're yeah, but like I could make 220, but like you just gotta pay people still, right? I mean, you have to pay all these people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I created a team. I mean, you can definitely scale it down. I know some brokers that run pretty lean and mean. United Wholesale Mortgage, to be completely honest, has done a great job in making the broker channel viable. They're probably the main reason the broker channel is even viable. People give United Wholesale Mortgage a lot of shit, but brokers wouldn't be anywhere where they are at without United Wholesale Mortgage because of how good they made the system. I mean, they have CDs that go out automated. I think now they do a same day CD as initial disclosure, dude. Like crazy stuff. Yeah. So, they have some good stuff. I just personally didn't like having to go up like a corporate ladder to get an answer. Like, yeah, okay, if it's an 800 FICO, 20% down borrower, anybody can do that loan. But what about when you have a tough borrower or a tough situation, or it's like more of a judgment call on the income? Now I'm like having to, do a CR request. I think it's what it's called. Like you constantly have to press this little button and try to go up the ladder at UWM. Then you get to the team lead. And I just felt like a lot of those underwriters, our team leads, are not super experienced. They're not willing to take any risk because they're working for this massive corporate company that is just a cog, basically, right? And they don't necessarily care about your loan. I mean, they do if you're a big producer. And then, the correspondent side, I feel like if you look at the actual Scotsman's Guides production, I'd say, most of the bigger producers are going to be correspondent. And
Every single one.
dude, it's simple because I can make one phone call. Hey, Eileen, I need some help on this. Can you clear this condition? Yeah, let me look at it. Boom. She gets in 5 minutes later. It's like freaking cleared, dude. I don't have to go up all these ladders. And so I think that's the big benefit. And then just scalability. I mean, all the biggest producers are pretty much correspondent because it is scalable. It's more scalable. And they say rates are worse and all that, but I really don't believe that. When you broker UWM's making their cut as well. I can underwrite in-house and I can send it to freaking Mr. Cooper, dude. And Mr. Cooper, I guarantee you, has more competitive rates than UWM, right? So there's pros and cons to both sides.
Sure.
If I wasn't running a team, maybe I would want to be a broker, but even then I'd still probably be corresponding because I can make one phone call and get something done.
For sure. So you're young, like you're closing a lot of loans. What do you do with your money? You buy a lot of houses, don't you?
Yeah. So right now, that's my main thing. So right now I'm like buying as many freaking houses as I can because the market's down. I'm up to, I think, 30 doors now. And I'm buying a bunch of dilapidated properties, basically, and then I'm rehabbing it. I see that's kind of the transition, Steve, that I was talking about. Like when I say with the mortgage thing, it's like I like it, but I really like the investing side. It's fun to me. Like going into the property and like, okay, I got to fix this. I got to like update this, and I'm actually doing something good for the community. It's fun. So yeah, that's the majority of what I'm doing with my money, basically.
Is it local? Is it all local?
Yeah, it's all Central Valley. And I've learned the good and bad of this, right? So I used to just say, hey, lipstick on pig. And then you end up in 6 months having to replace a main drain, an AC, and all that stuff. So now moving forward, when I buy the properties, I'm basically, even though it costs me more money up front, it's like, okay, how old is this property? Oh, it's 60 years old. Okay, we're ripping off the walls. We're fixing any dry rot. We're doing new electrical. We're doing new plumbing. So when you ask what I'm doing with my money, yeah, it ends up in these freaking houses that I'm rehabilitating, and then I'm renting them out. So I'm not selling anything or really flipping. I'm not a big flipper, but trying to just hold on to them.
Like you either hold on to houses or you sell them. Like my buddy Kevin, my top realtor, he flips like 6 houses a month, and he literally doesn't own a house. I don't think he owns a house right now. And I'm like, why do you do that? He's like, because I could have 50 grand this month, or I could have a barely cash flowing property in 20 years. It's like, there's benefits to both. There are. Like, I completely get it. I didn't get it before, but I mean, if holding is your play, what do you want to, like, do you manage them yourself? Like, are you?
No, No, heck no. Some people do. They're crazy, I think. But I have a property manager. He does a really good job. And, my play, honestly, is just to kind of, and some people are going to call me stupid for this, right? Because the burr bros, right, that just want to burr everything, which is what I'm doing, they also just want to like over leverage everything. And I am pretty leveraged right now. Like I have a lot of equity in these properties, but I've also got a lot of debt on them. And I don't really like that, to be honest with you. I'd rather have most of these properties like paid off or down. And so probably over the next 10 to 15 years, I'll start kind of like paying them off, but then it kind of turns into like a snowball effect, right? It's like, okay, you pay off one. Oh, well, now you have more cash flow to pay off another. Okay, you pay out, and then you start paying them down. So that's the goal. And then over time, rents will go up. And then the biggest thing for me is the tax benefits, right? I'm W-2'd. I W-2 myself, right? We also have another little thing going, but I W-2 myself for the most part. And so owning real estate allows me to depreciate and put money into these properties so I don't have to pay as much in taxes, you know? So that's the play for me, basically. And then, I don't know, maybe we'll get more doors, maybe we won't. Right now I'm kind of pausing because I have some big projects that I'm finishing up and they have definitely stretched me of what I thought was possible. And I'm kind of ready for them to be done and take a little break for 6 months and then maybe get back into it. But
How much of your attention does that take? Like, are you like doing properties most of the day? Are you doing like loan stuff or like house stuff?
man, it's going to sound crazy, but I spend hardly any time on the rental stuff, like at all. Because I've got a contractor I trust. So it's like, hey, he gives me the bid. He tells me how much it's going to be. Okay. That's what we're paying for this. Okay. Boom. And then he's going to get his disbursements and he's kind of just taking care of it. And then I'll stop by the property once a week or once every 2 weeks, just to kind of check in to see what's going on. The part that takes a long time is when you got to refinance them. So like if you go get private money for these deals, let's say you buy it below, you put money into it and then you refinance it out. That's the part that takes all the time because you know as well as I know, you got to provide documents and all that stuff. And there's really nobody that can do that because I have all the logins to everything.
What kind of loans do you use? Like, you buying these properties like with the SCR loans?
Yeah, so I have 10 conventional loans already. So now I can only do DSCR. So yeah, so I do DSCR loans. But the nice thing is since we're in the industry, we can kind of give ourselves a deal.
Yeah.
So my rates are not that bad.
What do you do? You do like the 1 year PPP or like the 5 year PPP?
Dude, I do it. Honestly, I do like a 0 year, sometimes 1 year, but I do a 0 year because I don't want to, if I have to sell it or something, let's say shit hits the fan, I don't want to be responsible for $20,000 in interest payments.
No, it's interesting. It's like all these people are like over leveraged and buying all these houses with all this debt. And it's like, I mean, I'm 28 years old. Like I didn't quite know how this like economic downturn thing worked until like the last 2 years. But I mean, when it gets bad, it gets bad. And as someone that literally sells debt, you don't want to be in heavily debt position. Like it's not going to end well. I'm terrified of having debt now.
Are you terrified of having real estate debt or just terrified of liability debt?
Not real estate debt. No.
Right.
But just overall, like everyone's financing these things, all these big cars and everything. And it's like,
yeah.
Do you understand? Like, this is not, you're not always going to make 600 grand. Like, I don't know when, but like, I promise you, like in the last 12 months, like Southwest Florida is dead. My realtors went from making 700 grand to 300 grand. And it's like, oh shit, I have all this debt.
You bring up such a good point too, because I feel like that's also what's allowed me to kind of, expand. And I've made mistakes, by the way. Like I have financed cars I shouldn't have, and then I've sold them and been like, what did I just do? All the interest and all that, right? But now like, I've paid everything off. So the only thing I have debt on is mortgages, right? And those are cash flowing anyways. So it's like, I don't know. It's just, everybody's different, but you're right, man. The moment things take a turn, if people are overly leveraged, especially on like liabilities, like credit cards and things like that, you're going to be in a really, really tough spot. So
is your market like, is it down right now? Like, because it's Southwest Florida, bro. I mean, no one's buying it. But where are you at? Where are your realtors at right now? Like, are they able to? Is their income still steady, or is it like down? Like Florida?
The biggest producers are still decently steady, but they're still making less, even though they're closing the same deals because they're taking it in the shorts with these new buyer broker agreements a little bit. Listing side comes back. Oh, my person only wants to pay 2%, and it's like, okay, what do? Do you take the 2%? Or do you chance the fact of countering back and losing this deal for your buyer? And most of them just take the 2%. So there's that going on. And then there's just not as many deals. And the people that are getting after it, man, are making calls and they're meeting with a lot of clients, and they're just doing the most right now. And I feel like their marketing spend has gone up. They're spending more on these Zillow programs and things of that nature. So
It was great having you today, Corbin. I know you got to go, so we can end it.
cool, brother. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
All right, brother.